Where do you get all that energy, Sifa? Hello and welcome to our Coaches Week edition of Post Game Lobby. Fisher and I are joined still by Shaunz and also by Prawley of H2K. First up, thank you so much for joining us. Much like when Grabs joined us beforehand, and we know it's not easy after a loss like that. Can you just tell us your thoughts after that series versus Fnatic?
Man, Riot must really like to talk to losers. But, no, there's not. Well, you were the rare exception. No, thoughts about the game. I mean, game one was really annoying because our comp really was an objective fight only comp. So every 5 minutes we had to have that fight or else the game's going to kind of stall. And that's where, you know, you're kind of watching and then every 5 minutes there's a chance your team will say like, yes, let's fight, or no, we shouldn't.
Or let's be late for the dragon.
Or let's be late.
And then rush in.
Okay, I'm of the opinion that give up that dragon and just fight them to hell. So we didn't do either there, but that's still an idea. You can give up the objective just to get the fight, but so that game one was just annoying for everyone, including me. Like all the players were aggravated because we couldn't get the fight, and then we like gave up that 5-minute dragon or the 5-minute window for dragons. And then so game two, we were just like, all right, let's kind of fight, because Fnatic played a really similar style to us where they're not forcing as much and they're mostly just kind of matching, running around the map as much as we are running them around the map. So we kind of forced a lot more things in game two, and one time it was called that they're going to do this top dive. Like, I think we had vision on all of them moving top, but we didn't respond by pulling everyone out. So they kind of got this like really free fight top, and then that kind of broke open the game. And after that, it was kind of like, us trying to claw our ways back in.
We're just quickly going to take a look at that dive because that's also something that you two wanted to take another look.
Oh, I mean, I kind of feel like the game was almost decided here with Fnatic doing this. So this is where Ryu has spent his TP and ulti on bottom side to get one kill. And then freeze Vander, stays really far up in the lane. Obviously, Fabian will push in his mid lane and just roam to the top side. It's a mistake I feel like we see so often, and now we have two coaches here. Like, when you guys are watching this, it's a very clear mistake. Guys, we invest everything on bottom side. We have no pressure in mid. Please do not overextend in the other side lane.
Yeah.
Like, what's going on?
I would have liked just to see a little bit before the vision from H2K into like Asia roaming and Olaf roaming, because I think like usually it's really obvious when like you make a play bot. Either the enemy is matching and you see them moving, it's, oh, careful, they're coming, let's fight fast. Or they're gonna cross map. This is a common League of Legends. So sometimes you know this, but you take like other decisions during the game and you're like, oh, hopefully they will not cross map objective, but still like you realize it's too late and then you get collapsed on. So I would have liked to see H2K vision at this moment.
We actually saw Azir. It was really telegraphed play because we had wards. So at least the silver lining is this wasn't a mistake. Like, my players saw it and they were like, what are they doing in our blue side jungle? No, it was pretty clear. Like, we called out, like, they're going to dive top. We need to back off. And then I think the information just didn't get relayed. It was kind of like said but not heard. And it was like, no, we can stay top. It's 2v2. We can avoid Olaf gank. And it's like, but Azir's there. We see him. And it's just one of those things where I'm happier that it was said and like known and have it be like misheard than it being like confused. Like, why would Azir go top right now? That's like the big mistakes in coaching where you're like, what do I do with my team if they don't know what they're doing right now?
Is it helpful now that we know that you guys can sit backstage and you also have the comms of your team so you can hear them? Is that something you guys use then frequently in between games or after?
Oh yeah, I think it's really important because there's always when you're testing out something or if it's like a first time on stage, you can really tell if that's the reason or like if that's like something that's going well or not going well. Like if that's, a new champion, you lose on it. But maybe like comms are fine for that champ, like play was fine and it was mostly other people messing up. Then you kind of know like this is working, and for the game two, instead of being like, oh, this is the first time I tried the champion and lost, we should, shelf it for next game. So I like it a lot. And then you can always do like the micro adjustments, like, you guys need to call Drake and go fight there, please.
How much do you want to go talk to them in that moment?
Like I think like the most important point of having like audio coaching is that you can see from where comes the mistake. Like, let's say easy example is the TP advantage. So enemy top laner has TP advantage, so he will probably like try to gank bot, or at least like this is the common thing. And then you have like many factors. Either, for example, our top laner, Cabo, doesn't know he has TP advantage. That's a mistake because he should have realized to timing on the chat.
And he's
Whatever.
busy calling for Shook, and then like communication.
I'm not done. Second part is at least Cabo should communicate to the team that okay, enemy has TP, so careful. And then you have to, as conclusion, for example, jungler and bot lane. Okay, so if we play aggressive, enemy gonna come top. So then you can figure out at which moment of the track is the mistake, and that's what I really like. And then just write down in my book, okay, this is this moment, and I can talk about it.
This is helpful for you guys for this match game. Rather, we still have to declare our player of the game. It was Kiki's. Some really, really awesome Gnar stuff, have to say, in the beginning of the game. Then some mistakes by the end because I think Fnatic also realized they were so far ahead. So these things happen. But as a re-entry into a team, a playoff-worthy team, it's just incredible how it's kind of, I was talking to Shaunz, like he sets challenges for himself. Oh, on Unicorns of Love, that's doing really well. You know what? I'm going to join a challenger team. Oh, this team is first place in the league. I'm going to join that other team that isn't doing well. Like, it's kind of insane to me how this keeps happening, and he performed here in a very important match for Fnatic.
Yeah, I mean, it's important to highlight there's always reasons behind Kiki's leaving teams. Either like some things didn't fit for him or something maybe didn't fit for the team with him. Obviously, why he's sometimes leaving teams. G2 was another example where they got the sub and he wasn't happy with that situation. And now he has to be happy with it because Werlip is still a sub for Fnatic and he talked about being more used to it. But I think he just didn't miss a beat. Like, he came in, he played exactly like he did before he stepped down from G2. And I think there's going to be a better player in the top lane and also a more vocal player for Fnatic. But I don't know about the Spirit Kikis synergy and how important that's going to be for Fnatic.
How did you read him in this matchup? Did you guys not expect him to be as, how would I say, integrated immediately with Fnatic maybe? Or
Well, from watching G2, I always, like, yeah, it's very noticeable, like, Kiki's isn't late on TPs. Like, he's really happy, like, I don't care about my wave, you guys are fighting, I'll join. So I figured that would stay the same because it seems very much like that's the player that's going to transition from team to team. It's not really the team forcing him to TP. So I figured the TP plays are going to be very, very similar. I figured, like, the jungle top synergy, yeah, would be kind of a problem. And I think, like, in that second game when Olaf did that, like, gank through lane kind of thing,
Yeah.
I think twice, those were both, like, the idea behind them were good, but the execution was kind of off. And I think that, you know, is where, like, that synergy needs to grow a bit. And other than that, like, yeah, I think TP plays are fine. And then I think just jungle top synergy is where it's going to be going from there.
all right, let's take a look at some other matchups that we saw here today. First up, the Unicorns of Love versus Giants, which I expected to be pretty even matchup, maybe even in favor of Giants as favorites. But the Unicorns of Love 2-0'd them. And in game one, most notably, the Ilaoi and the Taric coming out of the side of UOL. They keep innovating, man.
Yeah, I mean, they had a fantastic team fight in the river where Giants made a big mistake, but I'm not sure if you guys watched these games. It was actually really one-sided. Like, Unicorns outplayed Giants in these games. Chachi had a fantastic performance. Exile in one of the games here as well really took over. So it's interesting. We have, like, this middle-of-the-pack team still. I want to put Vitality and HK actually in that pool of teams now, like like Unicorns, like Giants, where there's never a clear favorite. Like, whenever you guys play each other in that middle of the pack we have in Europe, I feel like it's impossible to predict, okay, yeah, HK 2-0 Vitality here, Unicorns 2-0 Giants. Like, all the teams are so even, and then all the teams seem to have so many good things, but also so many bad things at the same time. Is this, like, because teams are maybe not strong enough, or is it because all the teams can actually challenge each other at a high enough level?
Yeah, I think it's more the second point, to be honest. I think, like, it's more about every team are, like, good, and, like, sometimes one of the team will do the biggest mistake compared to the other, and then in the other game the other team will do the biggest mistake. So then it will just impact like that. It's not really which team is the best, it's which team does the less mistake usually. And I think we are, like, kind of even in this way because it's just about, like, player nerves on stage, like decision making on the what you practice with them in the beginning of the week. So yeah, I just think close to everyone is even, but there are some teams that are better at ending the games, which is really important. Like, for example, against us, Rocket is not known to end really well the games, while against G2, if you lose the early game, usually you lose, like, also the late game, so it's just a matter of performance.
For a middle-of-the-pack team, Giants was actually surprisingly good at closing out games last week, but then here the Unicorns of Love come in, and they actually had a good couple of weeks. How do you see the potential of the Unicorns of Love if they get to playoffs, and it's looking likely?
I don't know, I think the middle of the pack, I'm kind of on the other side of the statement where I think it's actually, they're even, but in a bad way, including us. Like, I would say the transition from scrim practice to LCS is really, really poor right now. And I think it shows in almost all teams. Like, no one really closes consistently other than G2 and G2. And then everyone else kind of has like these like moments of brilliance, but they're not consistent and they're not really repeatable plays. So it's hard to like give anyone high level play credit right now
Okay.
because it seems like it'll happen, but when they're in the exact same situation, they won't make that choice again.
So let's talk about this. But this is something that we've heard for
Multiple
weeks
times.
and weeks from players, from coaches, from everyone. Of course, scrims are not good in Europe. The level of scrims is not good. We're not approaching them in the right way, and it's keeping us from improving. Why? How could you change it, and why isn't it being changed when we're so close to playoffs and we're so close to possibly worlds with those teams?
I mean, it's a tough question. I don't think we can answer this in 2 words.
I
but-
think it's
Guys.
very simple. I think coaches need to stop being little women, girls,
Don't,
Yeah.
I take offense to that. Yeah.
Magikarps. They
There
need
we
to stop
go.
being Magikarps. Because yeah, basically in scrims when I notice, because like I get to see the vision we have and they have, so I can understand their decision making for the calls. So when they're making these calls, and it's very clear like they have no clue what TP situation is, no clue where jungler is, like no clue where like mid lane is or something like that. And I hear them call for an invades, like I have to go tell them after the game, you guys aren't playing like LCS at all. Like this is terrible practice. You guys would never do this in LCS stage because we have no information to be making these calls. And when I'm watching other teams, I notice a lot of these players have like these egos where they want to beat the other guy, kind of like how you would in solo queue, where if you're like 4-0 versus someone, you're going to go 1v5 the team fight because you want to prove you're a man. And I feel like this is happening so much in scrims, and I don't know why people aren't getting angry with their players or straightening out their players. Like, this is a terrible call. You have no clue where anyone is on the map. You shouldn't be doing this. And this is something I have to do with my players constantly. And this is something I've been doing since, a year and a half. And I've been playing with Odo and Ryu this whole time, and they still do it from time to time. And I have to, calm them down because it's really easy to forget. You play solo queue 10 hours a day. Maybe not 10. You play solo queue a lot of hours a day. It's really hard to break that habit of just playing, I want to beat this guy and, show my dominance.
But if you guys, or if you are one of the coaches then actually trying to change it, obviously it's hard if the other team doesn't change and they go all in, all crazy. The scrims are 20 minutes long because then someone is going to FF. But if you are one of the guys doing it, why is then H2K on stage looking like, in many ways, I feel like they must look like a different team compared to scrims because there are so many indecisive calls you guys are making. Like shot calling seems to be a massive issue. Yankas in his interview were talking about how on stage things kind of fall apart for you guys. Why are you guys of all teams not able to kind of show, hey, we can do what we do in scrims on stage at the same time? Is that something completely different then?
No, it's really similar. That is definitely a huge issue that we have to solve quickly. I think it's hurt a lot by sometimes the teams we scrim when they behave that way in games. I actually took an average this last week or two of scrims compared to how LCS gold averages. At 20 minutes, we have 4K. Both teams have 4 to 5K gold more every scrim. So these 20-minute Baron calls you see in EU so frequently, yeah, everyone's been doing these calls in scrims, and it works great because everyone has 2 BF swords for free, and now the Baron's a lot easier. And now they're making these calls in LCS, and it falls apart, and they're wondering why. It's yeah, you have 5K gold less, no wonder.
Yeah, I can agree on that. But to come back to the first point is that I think you can handle your team to play better or to play smarter or to play just professional. But if it comes to fix the problem as the whole industry of Europe and all the teams, I think you cannot, because it's also related to the human. Simply as that. In Europe, we are just a little bit more ego-wise stronger. We are a little bit more toxic in a way. So we can disrespect a little bit more. And then when it comes to the scrims, it's also hard for a player in itself. It's not that they didn't have any job before professionally, that cannot separate solo queue from scrims naturally, would do an experienced guy. So you have to come through a lot of small points that maybe you can fix as a unit when you stick with the same team as a coach during few months. But if you try to do it all the teams and say, okay, for example, we scrim against H2K and we say, okay, we're gonna play professionally, but it didn't work. You can never do that.
Okay, because I would actually think that would be the way forward, where some of the top teams, some of the biggest teams, are kind of leading the way. One thing is how scrim times have changed over the years. Obviously, it used to be you would scrim before dinner, and then after dinner you have a new scrim block, at least back in the day when I was playing, and it got changed into the 5 games in a row now where you have breaks in between to kind of analyze. That got changed and people adapted to it. So I feel if H2K, Fnatic, G2, if these teams and even Vitality kind of led the way, technically other teams should kind of adapt to it. Otherwise, you'd be like, we don't want to scrim you now.
Yeah.
Like, we're only going to scrim. H2K and Vitality going to scrim each other and like try and make it 100%. That's maybe not the solution.
I think it's easy in theory, but harder in practice. Because when
Sure.
we live every day with the players, like you can always like tell them, and they will respect you no matter what. But if they have the results, then okay, maybe they will respect you. If you don't have the results, it's always like hard because you see something is not working out. So it just comes with like taking the players individually, talking with them about like the mental strengths, and then making them as a unit.
Yeah, we'll see how it evolves, and I'd love to check in with you guys a bit later in the season
Yeah.
and see how everything has changed or not has changed. Another series that I want to take a look at is G2 Up versus Splice. A very big matchup, honestly, because Splice was in third place going into this match, and they took the first game, and Trashy was also player of the game there, and just, well, he did fantastic to get everyone going and then dominate the mid game. Are you guys surprised with that result?
No, I'm not surprised because like Splice has actually been playing good, and I think like the game is more about who adapts the best rather than who is playing really the best. So this is what like they are doing really good Splice so far. Like we play against them in practice, and yeah, they're actually like good. So like we are happy to practice against them because they show like good rotation.
Here's a pentakill in game 2, though. Perks on his gangplank.
Expect on his gangplank.
Expect them.
Getting it in the very end. He just pick it up. We didn't cut to like a new play or anything. He actually got the legit pentakill, but
Well, I could not watch this game fully, so I really thought it was like in game 1 that he played the gangplank.
with the GPO, I mean,
yeah, it would, oh,
like,
okay, okay.
swapped it around. Expect got it here. Interesting enough, I didn't get to watch the game because I was casting the other game at the time, but I saw after Splice were like tweeting, "Oh man, we should have 2-0. Like this was bad. We should have 2-0 straight away." Splice right now as a team is very, very interesting because a lot of people actually rate them as like second, third best team in Europe. I think judging from like the result today and what we've seen the last few weeks, it's pretty fair. Do you guys agree on that? Like, are they right now actually like a top 3 team?
I still think they're stuck in the middle with everyone else right now. I think,
H2K pulling them down.
yeah, we're making sure they're not getting good practice. Don't worry about that. But no, like they're a similar team to us in that they'll do these like moments of brilliance and stuff like that, and then other times they'll have their AD carry bot lane, and then they'll go fight for Herald or something, and it seems very awkward that like some of these like really mini-map mistakes, which are basically you look at the mini-map and you instantly know what you're calling is a mistake. These mini-map mistakes happen, and those are the ones that top teams can't make because it's literally fixed by looking down at the bottom right of your screen.
Or on the left if you moved it. which
Or
you can,
left.
or in the middle, I guess.
I also think the support is actually bringing a lot. My kicks, I know like from watching him playing, like when we were like reviewing Splice or like preparing against Splice, like I watched a lot of what is he doing into movement, and I think he's playing playing smart. So I don't know if the calls come from him directly or if it's the team saying, okay, you should be there. You can never know that, but I really think his movement is interesting and always like set up Kobe pretty well in the laning phase too. So yeah, this comes with this guy also.
Yeah, Krepo said actually at the beginning of the day, Sven Mithy, #1 bottom lane in EU. Kobe and Mickey, probably #2. So they are the top 2 bottom lanes in EU. What do you guys think?
I think you can definitely make a case for them being top 2, but I also feel like other bottom lanes in Europe, especially this split, because a lot of them has made changes. Like there's been so many new AD carry supports coming in, switching out. I actually don't feel like we've seen many other bot lanes kind of rise and just like start shining. Like Freeze and Vander seem to sometimes have some laning issues where either one of them gets caught out, and then Freeze doesn't have the impact he wants like in the mid game because he just sits mid with Ryu and they kind of share farm. So it's hard to like make one of these two guys shine right now. I feel like Police and Kasing has been the same thing. There's been so many changes across, and Mickey and Copy has just like synergized very well from the start and gotten better. And that's why I think you can say they are top 2 right now in the bottom lane, but it's because I feel our bottom lanes are not the highest level right now compared to maybe previous seasons. I think we have good individual AD carries and good individual supports, but together I don't see the same synergy I see from Sven and Mithy specifically.
Yeah, it depends also with the draft, of course. For example, if you are a coach that wants to draft every game like a Silver Brom into your bot lane, and they cannot really show in lane, they will probably be impactful later on into the game, but at this moment, then they cannot. But if like you always draft, like for example, Caitlyn Bard, which is the case for like Splice, then it's a little bit easier to show that, oh wow, he has 30 CS in advance against Silver Brom. Wow, this guy is so good. But it's actually come with a special game plan because then after the top lane is behind, so I think it's all depending on the draft.
Well, I mean, I kind of agree with like the top 2 that you guys laid out. Yeah, the draft matters a lot, but the certain synergies between the champions and abusing them is really important. Like, yeah, the Caitlyn Bard, for example. If the Bard's roaming around without the Caitlyn, then Bard better have someone that can follow up on his ult. Otherwise, the Bard-Caitlyn combo is like pretty worthless.
Yeah.
And I think another thing that Sven and Mithy kind of have that other bot lanes don't, I don't know if it's ego telling them to do this, but they pick some terrible, terrible bot lane matchups that they should just get completely stomped in. But since they're at a high level, they're able to like basically get away with murder. And if you were to look at like the way Sven and Mithy draft like the bot lane, and you try to copy that for your team, you'd probably have a terrible, terrible time.
Yeah, Garpo was also saying they're just so good at all these matchups that they don't even need to talk to each other a lot and just know when to go win for that trade and when not. Speaking of AD carries, Origin today up versus Schalke with their new AD carry.
Toaster.
Toaster, yeah, I was gonna say
Toaster.
Toasty because it's that thing that used to be a bug, but yeah, Toaster indeed, and he saved the game for them in game 1.
Yeah, I mean, again, he rolled the dice on the crits on a Sivir, and he managed to bounce it through the entire team, and actually managed to win the late game fights, resulted into the Baron, obviously, and used it kind of to close out the first game. But this wasn't Origin winning this game, in my opinion. It was Schalke losing it.
Yeah.
They're like 10k gold ahead, and these are the kind of situations where it's so close in the middle of the pack between who gets into
You gotta
playoffs.
win those games, man.
Yeah, who gets into playoffs and who actually drops down to play relegation for like Vitality as well, especially. Like, you can't afford dropping games like these. If you guys had got a 1-1 against Rocket, you'd also be sitting here saying,
Yeah.
man, we can't afford doing this.
Yeah.
We have to 2-0 these matchups.
Yeah, for OG this is great, right? I mean, a tie.
The best
was
they could have hoped for. in this
best they
game.
could have hoped for. They get another one win there miraculously, but for the side of Schalke, a team that we were looking so heavily towards, you know, that has this tendency of ending, of course, in 7th or in 8th place. The last splits around with a lot of these players, and then they started off quite well in this split. Where do you see them going? Because it just hasn't clicked the last couple of weeks, and I think that's putting it lightly.
I mean, I think they're like the poster child. While I think the EU middle pack is so large right now,
Okay.
is because at this beginning of the split, I was like really confident that they would show up for the whole split, and it wouldn't be just like a moment of brilliance. I thought it was like, all right, these guys actually know some stuff, and they're playing this map out actually really well. I was like, I enjoyed watching them actually a lot. And then, yeah, the last few weeks, it's kind of went back downhill. And to me, that shows like, yeah, maybe at the time that they were doing well, they didn't understand why these plays were good. They were doing them, and everything was just clicking, but they didn't really understand like the mechanics behind it or why this works and doesn't
That's the
work.
question mark we always have, though, here in EU. And we're like, 2 weeks, these teams are doing amazing. Same with Giants now. Like, what what is it? Is it just...
It is inconsistency. I think, as Probably said, it is maybe not 100% understanding. Like, because one thing is pulling off a great play. Another thing is then after saying, we knew exactly what we were doing. Now we can do this in the next game.
You
and the
think they
next game,
then
and the
go,
next
oh,
game.
we won't watch this replay because we want...
They definitely watch the replay, but there's a big difference, like what you're looking for, and maybe also how deep do you dive into it. I think one big thing, and now we have 2 coaches here who can hopefully back me up on this. Like, one big thing for teams is never look at like why did you win a fight or why did you lose a fight individually. Like, look at why were you fighting in the first place. Was it a correct choice to fight right here? Should we maybe have done something different before that in the setup? Like, all these kind of questions need to be asked by all 10 teams after every single game they play to consistently start understanding, okay, when we're in this specific situation, this is the right play. Do you guys agree on that, or is it like, let the guys go nuts in team fights? I know you guys are going to say no on that one. So.
No, I think like there is 2 moments. Like usually, like you should not take a team fight is like a common sentence to introduce something. Like, for example, you should not take the team fight, but you should have done this is better. But then you also have to review the fight in itself, because maybe you can learn something like, okay, let's say you guys take the wrong decision, but we still have to win this fight because you took this decision. And then you review it and you say, okay, so this. But don't forget that you should never be here. So we come back to the more point that is more important, like the before, why you took the decision. So I think it's a two-way scenario where...
It almost seems like too much to think about for players in
Well,
game.
it's like you just kind of have to be efficient with it. So
Yeah.
if they like do this really dumb team fight, you got to start off by being like, why the hell are you here? Like, there's Baron, go take it for free. And then you have to be like, well, we already started this team fight. All right, so why? Yeah, so like, why is our, Soraka flash autoing the AD carry? Like, you'll break it down after that because it's kind of like a 2-for-1 there. But yeah, you got to really highlight that first point. Like, please stop doing really stupid things in scrims.
All right.
I think about
the important thing here.
Schalke, just to come back, always a question I've been wondering. It's just why every team that has Fox is like always going super good at the beginning and downgrading at the end. So maybe I absolutely don't know anything about this guy, but it's just a common pattern with SK, with Unicorn, and now with Schalke.
He's an amazing player. That's the common
He's
pattern.
very good, but I don't know
Yeah.
why every team is then
Typically.
is downgrading. So
So, small theory in that. Whenever a split starts, a lot of teams are always like very bad macro-wise, and a lot of it comes down to like individual players trying to like snowball out of control, and people don't really punish it that well. He's a very good individual player. Has always been a very good individual player. So on these teams, like think back to SK Gaming when they had Forgiven as well. It was literally win lane, win game. But as soon as they started playing against teams who actually figured out, what to ban against them and how to play like the mid game against them, they kind of fell down a bit. So maybe he actually needs to get on a team who puts a lot more focus on actual macro and not just like snowball him early game, because that's been the Schalke strategy. Like, camp mid and he will get fed and he will win the game. It only works for a limited time, in my opinion.
Yeah, mystery solved. Just ask the Fisher.
Theory, just a
theory.
theory.
No, I think that makes a lot of sense. And let's take a look at the standings, because Schalke did have to move down to 7th now, where they joined Team Vitality, Origin, and Rockets. Yeah, under the top 6, obviously. And then G2, Fnatic, and Spy still unchanged. H2K still in 4th there, followed by the Giants and Unicorns of Love.
Probably. Before the split started, when you got Freeze, if I would have told you week 7 you would be 4th place right now, would you have said, I'm going to take that deal, I love it? Or would you go like, nah, we're top 2?
No, I'd just insult you and then remove you from Skype.
You would never do that. I know that for a fact.
Pushing it.
No, I know that for a
forward,
fact.
buddy.
I get your late night messages all the time.
Oh, you can ask Shaunz the same thing, actually.
Yeah, you cannot exchange your future funk, maybe.
Hey, listen to it. I love future funk.
Yeah, I mean, I see this every time, so I try to listen to it. It's actually okay. So
What?
Actually, okay.
I feel like
Oh, we're talking about music now?
you might have to leave that.
but Vitality, of course not. Like
Yeah.
we were like decent in the regular season last split, and I think we really want to be good. But I prefer this kind of scenario where like you just sit down, maybe you're not really good, and then we perform at the end of the split.
Or if you
That would
don't,
be
it's also
awesome.
fine because you were trailing anyway.
Yeah, but,
Win-win.
like, last time we were like so good, I would say in the regular season,
Yeah.
and then we just choked.
Fisher, what are you gonna
So I don't want to do this again. Now we're just gonna do the reverse.
Yeah, I feel like H2K is.
What do you think about that?
No, I think
That's
both
our
you
strategy.
guys. Both you guys have
Don't
the same
steal our
strategy.
strategy. Like, come on.
I also
man.
just realized we had this exact same desk last split. Also sitting and doing these post-game lobby things. We got the 2 regular season gods right next to us, except for this split right now. Wait.
Yeah, see, we changed our god chip to playoff gods.
The best teams adapt.
Yeah. something
I
like
can't wait to see playoffs now. I can't wait to see H2K Vitality in the final.
it's gonna be good.
Next week.
Fantastic. We'll see what happens. And that you guys are getting along so well. We still want to ask you a couple of more questions that we got in via Twitter. Risky business, but we did do it earlier in the show. We asked you to tweet your questions relating to all things coaching at LL Esports. And the first one is from @Stream. What is the hardest part of being a coach? And what other professions help your work, if any? I'm especially interested in that last bit also, kind of your entourage. But who wants to take this first?
Go ahead.
I would say the hardest part about being a coach is like earning their respect and keeping it. There are a lot of times where people will do very dumb things and you actually just want to, but you can't. So you have to really, take a step back and calm down, and that's just the hard way to do things. I'd much rather take the easy way. So that's probably the hardest part about coaching. And about jobs that help coaching, I was a restaurant server at Joe's Crab Shack. And I danced every 45 minutes or whatever, unless my manager wasn't looking, and then I wouldn't dance. So I've had to deal with really frustrating people. So it's helped me calm my nerves, because I've had to deal with people that are like angry that they're serving seafood here, and they tell me like it matters. So I've dealt with a lot of really difficult people.
I
in my life.
interpreted that question as what entourage do teams have to work with them?
No, it's like
but this is more fun.
special education.
Oh,
this is great.
That you can
I
take.
thought this.
like-
What,
No, this is much better. Let's do that
Did I-
instead.
No, I think you're right.
Oh, you're
I
right.
think you're right.
Am I wrong?
Yeah, I think it's like what other kind of profession could help you as a coach, if you've been studying.
yeah, I
like
thought, what have
psychology
you
or something.
previously done in your life that's
Okay.
prepared
Yeah.
you for coaching?
Dancing.
All right, okay, so
yeah, I
let's
thought so
get that
too.
first
Yeah,
and then get the
yeah.
entourage, because this is really helpful to learn about the coaches. So, Shaunz, go
sure.
ahead. Hardest part about coaching, and what job did you do in your past that is
I
helping
was
you be a
not
coach?
dancing in the bar.
Yeah, just dancing in a establishment thing from Probably. I don't know if we need to go deeper into that.
I'd tip you.
Yeah,
100%.
Yeah, I actually got a lot of tips doing
Okay,
that.
so
but-
hardest part for sure for me
Aw.
is to always like have a bright smile. I would say every day, because like sometimes you have down day,
Bad day.
bad day, and I feel like you cannot really show the player like, oh my god, you are so bad this week. Why did you do that? I can't believe. We teach. Okay, so every time I have to think about this, like, and then, hey guys, it's okay. We're gonna perform good next week, so it's gonna be okay. And always, I just I'm putting myself as a player, and I'm like asking, oh, what would I want my coach to do if I were like bad, or like if I were to do wrong things? And I always think about this and say, okay, I want a coach that is positive, at least like makes me be happy, and then that's what I think. So sometimes I have a bad day, and I just like call someone personal. Then after I say, and then the next day I'm happy. And that's the thing. And about professional stuff, before I had studied as an engineer, so I got to work a lot in terms of, as an engineer in telecom. So I just have to handle projects and like people, just make the team happy usually, because we need to do this and this. So then I transmit this as a coach in my playing style.
The Fisher, what job did you used to do that is helping you be a better caster?
I mean, absolutely nothing, because I was speaking Danish all the time, which kind of...
You can't have jobs in Denmark?
No, but I mean, I didn't do anything to help me as a caster.
Oh, right. No, it actually
So...
it like worked against you, I think.
Yeah, it actually worked really against me that I was from Denmark, but here we are, and now we're using it anyway, and Pilsen and all that kind of stuff. So I guess in the end, it did benefit me. I didn't dance at restaurants, though, like Prolly did, but I would have loved to have that job.
I had a hard knock life.
Hard
You
knock.
did.
All right.
Worked your way up.
Let's take a look at another question, a great question from the Titan84. With such young players, how much of a parental role do you as a coach have to take, especially for new players? Very interesting. It also has to do with kind of the line between how close are you to your players, because sometimes there's friendships and stuff. So how much of a parent are you guys when it comes to these players?
Well, I think right now they're sort of me. Well, they call me daddy. So when it comes to the play, I mean, there's nothing like weird in this sentence, but I hear them sometimes, and I'm just having fun. Sometimes I want
It's
to
just
be...
in his head, like.
No, Prolly's
Fishy
smiling
is
too.
Oh, okay.
He's smiling
It was
too.
in my head too.
Well, he
All right,
dances in
keep going, Daddy.
establishments,
Keep
so
going, Daddy.
yeah.
Oh, come on, man.
Keep going. So okay, just like you need to get this dad approach in a way. It's like when they're doing like runs, like wow, no, you stop doing this. I don't want to hear this. Just sit down, And sometimes you want to be the brother, like just saying, okay, cool, like having fun and stuff like that. But I just think like it's really important that they notice that you are like in a big picture for them. When you enter, like for example, the playing room, you're like, okay, the coach is coming. So I want them to respect in this sentence, like a dad a little bit, but a dad that wants to help us, that like not the one that will take the belt and hit them if they go out too much. So yeah.
Probably.
Yeah.
Are you Ryu's dad?
I don't know. Ryu,
Or is Ryu kind of taking over the house?
he's kind of taken over the house, but I keep saying I'm going to call his mom if he disrespects me, and it kind of calms down after that.
Give us a Ryu of the day.
I don't have a good Ryu of the day.
Damn it.
Sorry.
All right.
Other than he comes to me and says, make me egg. Then I'm like, you make me an egg. But other than our love of eggs, yeah, you have to kind of, show your players that you care for them, and you're basically their like trusted, psychic, trusted like guidance counselor. Like you have to basically guide them and show them what they should be doing. You have to make the schedule. You have to, give them, a lead to go on, because they're not the ones that are looking at the team going, man, in 2 months we're going to be so strong. That's what the coach is for. The coach is supposed to like lead them and guide them, and to do that you have to care for your players and earn the trust of them.
Fantastic. Let's take a look at some of those players and the player of the game leaderboard as well at the halfway point in week 7. Kikis and Police got their first player of the games today, and then Cabo Shard and Spirit 1 point today moved them into the 4-way tie for second place. Trick, Cabo, and then Jankos up there as well. Knight, Spirit, take that. Yeah. There's no Vitality player. Oh yeah, there is.
Yeah, Cabo
Shard.
Shard.
I'm blind. Yeah.
It's up
sorry.
to you, guy. Definitely well deserved. Caboshard has been doing really well in a lot of these games where he can now actually get to carry. So that's great for you guys, except for like compared to the tank meta, where obviously you guys went downhill going into playoffs. Could definitely be blamed somewhat on the meta, I feel, last split. Benefits Caboshard way more. Jankos up there too.
Really good, Jankos. I really like
There's a compilation of in scrims and in LCS of he either will get the first blood, or if he knows the other jungler will beat him to it, he just goes and runs in and dies on purpose. He's like, haha, the jungler didn't get it.
What?
Yeah, we've seen that a few times.
I'm
The
half
mid lane
joking,
games.
all right? This is not intentional feeding.
Yeah, of course not.
But-
No, I meant in terms of like, hey, we're tracking this, and the first blood king, yes or no, kill participation.
Yeah.
Is first
Max
blood
Lore
king,
now.
very literally.
He's the original first blood king. Now he's like both the positive and the negative side of it. Like he's always part of that first blood, one way or the other.
Yeah, he is. Well,
The
that's
king owns it all.
The king
Tech-
owns it all.
Right now we are the first blood team, I think.
You guys are?
Yeah.
How about Giants work?
Out
Giants
of,
have like a ton of first bloods.
I mean, before this week, so I can't really retail, but NA, EU, and LCK, I think we have the most first blood. But I don't know why, to be honest. but
Yes, it's
that's
on
what
my
I've
piece
been
of
told.
paper, so it must be true.
Well, you guys
25.
do have a great early game, and then
Did you get some today, First Bloods?
That's a good question.
Because then it would be 25. But you are number 1 in First Blood as a team in the European
As a
LCS.
team.
Fantastic. That's what we
I
learned.
expect the thing.
oh, the confetti.
When you win championship.
All right, that's almost a wrap from us here in the post-game lobby. You know, I think it's about time. But we'll be back at 5 p.m. Central European Summertime tomorrow. We'll kick off the day with Unicorns of Love versus Vitality, and Giants will be taking on Splice. UOL Vitality.
Big game.
Shaunz. Yeah, we already prefaced it a little bit beforehand, but it is a big game indeed.
Oh, big game. Unicorns have been looking very good lately. Vitality as well. Obviously, with Shook coming in, stepping up big time.
4 wins in a row.
4 wins in a
like.
row now.
Yeah.
And Unicorns also gathering a lot of points. This could be a battle for playoffs.
It could be. And we also have our match of the week. Also a battle for seeding in the playoffs and playoffs. G2 versus H2K. Probably. Oh, after today, obviously, that is always a hard matchup. But what's the work you're going to do here with your players to prepare for that match?
I actually think G2 will be easier than Fnatic for us. Not that I think G2 is a better team than Fnatic, but for us, I feel like there's a lot more enthusiasm in the players when it comes to G2. I really don't know why. Like, for some reason, we're a lot closer with this team, so it's kind of like a friendly rivalry. So playing G2 is going to be a lot more fun tomorrow because I think everyone's going to step up a lot more.
But probably.
I mean, I told them to step up
that
today.
a way to? Like, I mean, that seems like a very odd way to look at a game, you know? Oh, you know, this is more fun, so we're probably going to win. Oops, we don't have fun versus any of these other teams, so we're going to lose. Like, what?
No,
Oh,
I
it's
mean,
like
come
it's a
on.
rivalry thing.
Oh,
You don't
okay,
have to
okay.
No,
football
it
as
is
well.
like, yeah, like, I mean, if you're playing a match and you're like, all right, there's a competition, you know, I'm going to try hard, I'm going to win, it's like all good. But if you add into like an extra element of enthusiasm and encouragement, they're going to just do better. So,
Okay.
and
You
plus
know
G2 fights
Yankers.
a lot. So
Yeah, they
Yeah,
do
sure.
fight a lot, but you know Yankers wants to kill Perks in the mid
That's
lane.
true.
Like, that's
Yeah.
the only thing he cares about. So I break around like 3-4 minutes tomorrow. Yankers is in that mid lane, and Perks is either dying or killing Yankers.
Yeah, that's true. It's
gonna happen.
Cool.
They're great analyst.
I mean, that's I predict the
It's a
future.
good-
I mean,
I
this is-
predict.
yeah,
this is-
I see it too. Don't worry.
I think this is G2.
Thank you guys. Thank you guys so much.
Yeah. It's
Thank
gonna
you.
be a
For the
lot of
viewers,
fun.
remember that.
Yeah, thank you guys overall for joining us here on the desk, Prolly and Shaunz.
Thank you.
It was fun. We learned a lot. Some things we shouldn't have learned, I think. But
Daddy or the
that one.
yeah, okay. Woo! We'll be back tomorrow as we celebrate the EULCS coaches and as week 7 of the summer split continues. Good hustle. Good night.
League Up Legend! Igår Legend! Dota! Oh my. Okay.
Jackson no flash. Nice.
Get him.
No flash.
Let's go, Steph goes. Nice. Keep going.
This is gonna try and finish him off. Exile has been caught down. Triple tempered fade. And Knight will be taken out by the rest of the team. There's no chance to do anything. And Maxwell gonna chase down Exile. He's still kiting away. And Unicorn gonna completely wipe out Giant. Triple kill for Veritas.
Yeah, he's a good guy. I know a lot of good guys, and they never get the ladies.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Just gonna put that out there. Good guys get nowhere in life, so you gotta be a meanie. Learn from this ref.
Kill us here. We got Nash. Take Nash after. Take Nash after. Kill Lucian and take Nash. Take Nash. Take Nash. You can finish. You can finish. Dismiss. Nice. No. Nice.
Before low health members, Memento sidestep onto Parang now. He's not really going to care too much. Fourth shot! One shot onto the Baron, the steal for Police.
Yellow Star suddenly on the front line. Spirit looking for the cleanup. Kickus goes in. Down goes Ryu. Yanko's next. Will he fall too? That's going to be it. Fnatic taking game 1 over H2K. Ryu in trouble. Suddenly there's so much damage on the Spirit, but it is simply not enough. Equalizer comes in. Fnatic burning through H2K. Absolutely dominating. After a comeback in game 1, they absolutely crush it out.